Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 18th day of March 2025. Just to introduce them again, Senator Richard Onyonka is the Senator of Kisii County. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Sami.
Hesbon Omolo is a finance specialist. Good morning.
Good morning, Sami.
And we have Dr. Makali Mulu, Member of Parliament for Kitui Central and also member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam. Good morning, viewers.
But are you still at the Privatization Committee?
No, that one I was kicked out.
Why?
Because you call me to these shows and I say the truth.
Sami, it's the same thing like me.
You also kicked out from a committee?
Hey,
which
CPAC.
one? CPAC.
I asked too many questions.
So which one are you in?
Health and budget and devolution.
3 committees?
Yes.
Okay.
But CPAC is where you know where the money is being stolen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you have no chance. Or you can still do so.
I'll be a friend of the committee anyway.
Ah, okay. Interesting stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know that to say sorry, congratulations.
No, don't pity me. No, don't pity me because somebody has to do the dirty job.
As a member of Parliament, any committee is a committee.
It's a committee.
So, Dr. Makali Mulu, you only have one committee now?
Now I was given another one called regional integration. And I take care now of the region, not...
Okay.
You know, these things are really baffling me.
Okay.
I didn't know that it becomes like this.
Good luck with all that. We're still waiting for Karoli Omondi, who's the Member of Parliament for Suba South. As soon as he's here, he'll join the panel. But also this morning, we want to pay some attention to what has happened over the last 2.5 years to the state of the economy. And we begin with the story that despite President Ruto's rise to power on the hustler narrative, his administration is yet to deliver on its promise of economic relief for most Kenyans. Pledges to lower the cost of living, create jobs and eradicate hunger remain unfulfilled. Yet, even as the government insists it has eased the economic burden, many Kenyans continue to feel the strain. Our reporter Gatete Njoroge takes a closer look at the struggles.
The energy of Nairobi's central business district comes alive along Safi Lane, where the daily hustle and bustle define the city's heartbeat. Shoe shiners, cobblers and traders are busy at work. Among them is Livingstone Okwiri, a father of 3 who juggles 2 roles, cobbler and shoe shiner. As we find him carefully stitching a customer's shoe, his colleagues stand by ready to serve the next client in need of a quick polish.
Kama saa hii kuna wateja 3 kutoka niingia hapa asubuhi. Na saa hii masaa inazidi kuyoyoma. So hiyo kama asubuhi mpaka saa hii kuna 3, hakuna hopes nyingine kufika jioni. So ni kusema tu siku kubali vile huko hiyo kipato kidogo ujipange nayo.
Okwiri says unlike before, business has been slow over the last 2 years with depreciating purchasing powers from majority of Kenyans.
Hapo nyuma maisha imekuwa mzuri. Although tulikuwa tunanunua vitu expensive lakini pesa ilikuwa ina flow. Kwa saa hii kila mtu analia, sasa tujui nani atasaidia mwingine. Hiyo 500 kipige hesabu kinunua unga kama kilo 2 saa hii ni 170. Ununue mafuta ya kupika ya mbao, nyanya na kitunguu, unapata hakuna kitu umebaki nayo.
With business dwindling and the cost of living soaring, Okwiri is left with no choice but to walk 10 kilometers daily from his home in Kibra to his workstation and back. A journey that once seemed manageable is now taking a toll on him.
Ni utembea, juu ukipiga bajeti yako, ukiweka mpaka 3, unapata unabaki nil.
Like many Kenyans, Okwiri challenges government reports of a stable economy and low inflation. He insists that the reality on the ground tells a different story. One of struggle and survival.
Bei inapungua, but sasa wenye matatu hao ndio upunguzi bei yao ya bus fare. Lakini bei ya mafuta hata ikishuka, matatu wana maintain tu na ile bei yao walikuwa kama mafuta iko juu.
Okwiri recalls the hope he had when the Kenya Kwanza government took office, believing that change was on the horizon. But over 2 years later, the promises of empowering small traders and creating job opportunities remain unfulfilled, leaving the dream of a better life just that, a dream.
Mimi nilikuwa natarajia at least tapata kama motorbike kangu kazuri, piga na biashara yangu hata kama nilipa polepole, at least nimechukua na bei ya chini. But sasa hii ndio ziko juu zaidi. na siwezi fanikiwa hiyo pesa kupata.
As a young Kenyan struggling to make ends meet, Okwiri believes that while President William Ruto's administration has prioritized housing projects, similar efforts should be directed toward initiatives that support cobblers and small-scale traders.
Anaweza tufungulia hata kiwanda yetu, tuungane, si lazima hata tuimport vitu kutoka ng'ambo. Tunajitengenezea tu hapa na tunauza tu, tunapata kazi.
Siwezi ona ajenge soko saa hii na tuingie saa hiyo, bado tunaumia. Saa hii naweza omba tu achilie hata kama ni ile masaa. Kuna masaa gavana alikuwa ametupea saa 10, kuanzia saa 10 kuendelea hivyo. Hiyo ni masaa mzuri sana.
With 2.5 years remaining in President Ruto's term, small traders remain hopeful that the government will prioritize lowering the cost of essential goods from food, fuel to electricity, and that industry players will follow suit. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Right, and that story gets us to the conversation of the morning, but also to introduce Karoli Omondi, who is the Member of Parliament for Suba South. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Hesbon, allow me to begin with you on this one. On the reality that Kenyans are highlighting there, that the promise was so big versus what they are feeling. And yes, the government data shows that a lot of things have stabilized, including inflation coming down to about, I think it's 3.5% as of February, versus what was more than 9% over a year ago. Why aren't Kenyans feeling what the government is saying?
Thank you, Sam. I think the viewers are actually stating the current feeling on the ground, largely because, yes, statistics may show that certain things have gotten better, but again, underlying those statistics are issues that clearly haven't been addressed. One of them being that the flow of money in the economy is what then would make the common man feel that something is right. But if you have a situation where over 650 billion Kenya shillings in pending bills held by the national government over the years has not been settled, over 200 billion or held by counties. So generally then you'll have a situation where circulation of money in the economy is at a level that is not satisfactory. And therefore, the other statistics may show some bright spots, including production numbers going up. But again now, how then does a common man who is in the streets feel that? So I think the concerns by the members of the public indicates that, yes, certain things have been corrected, but I think a lot more needs to be done, especially for the common man to feel that the pressure and the positive that we are talking about, including issues of inflation going down, needs to be felt in the pocket. And of course, if salaries have stagnated over the last 2-3 years, so even if you were to reduce the rate of inflation, the prices of probably the essential commodities more or less remaining the same.
When salaries stagnate, what is it indicative of?
It indicates that the growth in the economy probably is not really getting down to the common man, and therefore it means that, yes, the GDP may have grown over that period of time, but in which sectors has it grown?
So help us break that down for the viewers.
Yeah.
So GDP growing, salary stagnating, not being felt in the pocket. What is that?
I think what that then would indicate is that the kind of economy we have is such that when we talk about the economy having grown, you would expect ordinarily that every member of the society is able to feel it. But if you unpack the various areas where the growth is felt, for example, the financial services sector, you'll rarely find the common man there because it's the owners of the capital that are investing in the various banking sector, which is doing very well, the insurance sector that are able to see the benefit. When you speak about growth in the hospitality industry, you probably then see a few owners of the key drivers of those sectors are the ones benefiting. But again, they are struggling with certain costs of doing business that is inhibiting them from increasing things like salaries to employees. And therefore, the same salary you got 2 years ago would not necessarily then buy you the same products, even though generally the prices of commodities have more or less stabilized.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Dr. Makale Mulu, what is the feeling in your constituency? And the second part of that question is, how then do we accelerate how the economy is working so that Kenyans can feel the impact that economists like you may see?
Thank you, Sam. The feeling in my constituency is just the same feelings in the rest of Kenya. And when you talk to everybody, because as we interact with a lot of people, they are saying Nikumbaya. That's the term they are using, Nikubaya. Anybody talk to. And I agree with my colleague. What he's saying is, you know, statistics are statistics. And we always say statistics don't lie. But the way I look at it is that when you talk about inflation coming down, and I think we have had this debate in the past, we have said the reason why inflation is coming down is because of the supply side of, it's actually a supply-driven kind of inflation, where we are saying, even those Kenyans who are producing food and other goods and services, they are produced, but the demand side of the equation, where those who are supposed to be buying have no purchasing capacity. We talk about disposable income, and we have seen those three young people who are talking about the shoe shining business, where they are saying, I've been sitting here, I've only 3 clients, and more likely I will not get more clients. Just follow that statement. For you to go for your shoes to be cleaned, you must be having some money in your pocket. For you to go for shoe cleaning, you must have, in terms of hierarchy of needs, shoe cleaning I don't think comes even near, in terms number 10, could be number 20. So the question is, if I'm not able to afford food, which is a basic requirement, if I'm not able to get fare to work so that I can make money, if I'm not able, because these are the basic, to give fare to my children to go to school, I will hardly think about shoe cleaning. And why am I not able to do this? Look at the payslip, those who are salaried Kenyans. I can tell you for sure, Sam, and I'm sure my colleagues will agree to me, some of us here, we already have arrears in our mortgage and car loans, basically because the payslip cannot sustain. This government, when they came to power, they introduced what we call the SHA levy, which is 2.75%.
Yeah.
They brought on board the housing levy, you know the percentage. They have brought in the increase in NSSF, which was not there. And all these things are targeting the payslip. So what has happened to the payslip? The payslip has been reduced to a level where people have no money in their pockets. And when people have no money in their pocket, we might want it or not want it, basic economics. And economics is a social science. So there are things you must flow into place. If you don't get them right, you don't get them right, even if you are the president. The thing is, when people have no money in their pockets, they will not be able to buy goods and services. If they don't buy goods and services, Sam, that will contract production, because those who are producing will not be able to produce because there's no market for their goods and services. When you contract production, you cause a reason for people to be sacked from employment, because why would you have people who are sitting idle, they're not producing? So you reduce employment. People go home, they've been sacked. When people go home, what happens? The taxes you had projected to collect in terms of income tax, you don't hit your target. So it's a circle. You might want it, you might not want it. That's the truth. And that's what we are saying. Anytime you get a leader who is progressive in terms of assessing people, the first thing is you put money to your people's pocket. And as a result of that, you trigger serious economic activities. By doing that, you grow your economy, you collect more income, you're able to talk about reducing. I sympathize with my colleague, Honorable Mbandi, when he says, I will be able to reduce taxes. How do you reduce taxes when the economy is not producing? It's through production that you're able to collect more by reducing the rate, and you have more people paying because they have money in their pockets. What is happening now? What is happening is, majority of us who are Kenyans, we are going to the extent possible to make sure that we avoid paying tax. If I get a small avenue where I can avoid paying that tax, I ran with it.
Yeah.
So tax avoidance has become an issue. And that's why you see now KRA is saying most of their targets are not being achieved. So these are very basic issues. The other thing is, we are saying money, the economy is growing. But let's look at the distributive aspect of that growth. We have some of our colleagues, and Anyanga has been in Parliament with me for some time, who last term, the 12th Parliament, we could borrow each other 100,000. Today they have chovers all over the place. Have you not seen them, Anyanga? They have chovers. They have bought helicopters, and you wonder, in 2 years, what miracle has happened? As Kanyari come to town, that a miracle has happened and people are
You're saying you're borrowing 100,000 shillings from each other?
From each other, you know, we borrow at times.
Yes,
Not
at times, all the time.
Give me 100K, dash through the constituency, I'll pay you on Monday. That's what happens in Parliament.
Yeah.
Today, you can't reach them. So the thing is, even as you talk about economic growth,
What business are they doing?
we don't know. You'll ask them when they come here.
Government business.
But I'm just stating the basic economics.
Government business.
So what is happening is a lot of this money it is going to the pockets of very few people. And in that case, then you find what we call distributive aspect of the growth.
Yeah.
So Kenyans are seeing people doing very well at the top, but at the bottom, people are not feeling it. And then the issue of the pending bills, and I think he has put it very well.
Yep.
When you go to a small county like my county, and in totality you say, all counties have a pending bill of 200 billion,
Yep.
200 billion pending bill. What it means is there are those small business people at the county level who have supplied their goods and services to the county government, and they're not being paid. Now, the worst of it, Sam, and this is the reality. Some of these small business people, the way they do their financing of those small tenders is either by going to the bank or going to the Shylock. And most of them go to a Shylock. Now, you find Shylocks after their neck because they are not being paid. Banks are after their neck because they have not been able to pay. So even the small interest coming from the bank side, it's all your profits. So by the time you are paid, my friend, you have lost your principal capital.
Sure. And Senator Onyonka, then, with all these challenges, and this discussion has been going on for some time, what are the possible solutions that the country can explore?
Usually, when a country decides to sort out any issue that is of public interest, in this case, you're talking about economic growth and development for our country, what clever people do is they sit down and look at the basics, the services which are being offered. What is happening to your education? What happens to your health? What happens to your basic health? After that, you begin to look at what Dr. Makali has basically explained. Are the people in a position right now, first of all, to manage themselves by basically paying for the basic services? Then the government looks at the numbers and decides whether you are going to take what these people are earning and either tax it or sometimes even give them rebates or reprieves. You then look at the issues of inflation, look at the interest rates in the country, because the interest rates increasing or decreasing affects the economic development and economic strategy of that country. Then you look at your trade balances. How is our trade doing? Is Kenya exporting? Because when you export, you expect to receive revenue.
Right.
All right. As a result of that, then you find that you are going to start talking about your capacity to import. What are your foreign reserves? Because are you having a deficit or are you having a surplus on your import and export trade? When you look at Kenya, we've been extremely lucky because as we speak now, most of our foreign reserves are actually supplemented by what the diaspora is remitting to Kenya, which is basically keeping us afloat. You look at agriculture, the tea sector, which was the one which generates revenue. You have the agricultural sector, all of it as a whole. You look at its totality. Right. What are the sectors that help any country? In Kenya, our sector was, traditionally we have relied on agriculture as a basic sector to maintain people's very existence. What has happened to our industries? Which policy does the government have? What are you importing? What are you exporting? So if you look at the whole narrative and then come finally to what Makali Mulu said,
yep.
You bring in Kenya's ingredient, which I consider to be 50% of our very own existence, and that is corruption. Corruption affects everything in our economy today, everything. Mm-hmm. The issue he's talking about, many people in government right now are doing businesses in government. Mm-hmm. As a result, in fact, many of the wars and the fights taking place within government are all about those deals. Who was given what, who is supplying what. And you see, Sammy, what happens when the big boys take over these deals, somebody ends up, for example, doing a deal for 16 or, let me make it small, 800 million. Most of that money, they never keep it here. Most of it is taken out. It's in Dubai. You hear the things people are buying in Dubai, South Africa, other countries. So our country is, the person, Sammy, I really pity today is President William Ruto.
Why?
Either he doesn't see, or is unable to detect what the problem is, or is unable to come up with a solution to those problems. And then I want to give the last item, which is non-economic, but which creates the economic mess we are in, and that is the politics. You see, if you have a country where immediately elections take place, the next event you find is that people get into campaign mode. Why are they getting into campaign mode? The pre-election agreements which they had, usually they collapse. Once they have collapsed, then what happens? You find now the political class begins to quarrel amongst itself. Once the political class begins to quarrel amongst itself, Sammy, there's nobody who works. So in reality, without me having the exact figures from the Kenya Data Bureau, the truth is the economy shrinks. You have fewer people who are now controlling the economy. You can look at housing. You can look at production of whether it's construction materials. You can look at whether it is gypsum. You look at all the economic drivers. We call them economic drivers, all of them. And you go deep inside to find who supplies the steel. So we are slowly beginning to create monopolies around the Kenyan economic market. These monopolies are soon going to start controlling the market. They now become what some people have been calling the oligarchs. We are actually creating oligarchs in our country of a few individuals who are going to be controlling 90% of the sectors of the economy, and then Kenyan consumers are just going to be consuming. We are going to become like this, what do you call, like a supermarket. Right now, Kenya wants to import everything. Soon we'll not be producing beef. Soon we'll not be producing anything. We're importing Mutumba clothes, that's what we are. We pretend like we are coming with the policy solutions and how we can start producing our own goods which are competitive within the region. That is not happening. Our cost of production are always high because of cost of power, because of cost of fuel, because of our bad roads. I mean, it's a combination of something that needs somebody to deeply sit down and evaluate what the problem of our country is and methodically fix those problems. The feeling I have now, we are not methodical. We look at something, we run to it. I mean, we are struggling with the Sha-Shi thing. We leave that. You have a problem whereby we have left now university funding. We are coming to help. You are seeing students who are not able to get the help money. Their parents are vulnerable. They are small.
The issue of university funding is a consequence of what the court said.
Even changing that system, you should have thought about it. What are the consequences? I mean, why is it that we make decisions, then we have to go, then the courts have to tell us you are unconstitutional, then we rush back to go to the short-term basis mechanisms. In other words, what happened to Vision 2030? So you are not for me, there are certain fundamentals that are okay. Majority of our fundamentals are actually messed up.
Wow. Mheshimiwa Karoli, so at a time that, since devolution, 2013, that's about 12 years. Since the new constitution, it's 15 years. And the thinking was decentralized power and the economic power as well. But it doesn't look like it's getting better for Mwananchi. What is your appreciation of the challenges that Kenya faces today?
Thank you very much, Sam. I think, let me start with this issue of cost of living and inflation. If you look at the statistics, I think we had inflation at about 9.6% at the end of 2022. And by end of 2024, it had dropped to 3%. So you'd expect that the cost of living would come down. But it is not coming down. And the public sentiments out there are such that nobody is feeling that improvement in terms of lowering the rate of inflation. But let's explain it in a language that most people can understand. When we talk of inflation movement, we are basically talking about price of goods. So if it was at 9.6% in 2022, basically goods, the price of commodities or goods that we use had gone up by that percentage. Even if it reduces to 3%, it simply means the prices are going up by 3%. So if you take your 9.6 plus 3 whatever percent that it is, the prices of goods have actually gone up by about 12, 13%. But now the cost, that is now the cost side. But the purchasing power parity of the shilling or the money in the pocket of every mwananchi has not gone up for a variety of reasons. If you look at the data, manufacturing is stagnating. In other words, employers cannot improve on salaries of employees. Right. Even including insurance, financial sector, all those have stagnated. Even if you look at the banking data, the borrowing rates have gone down, meaning the private sector, which is the largest employer, is not able to improve on salaries of the people. And then there's been this issue about the pay slip. The gross income may have remained the same, but the net income has gone down because of the additional taxes and levies on the pay slip. And then, so the common person or the working person then is left with prices of goods that already went up, but income that has stagnated or gone down. Right. That is why you see there's this sentiment. People are not appreciating, they're not feeling the reduction of inflation in their pockets because of those factors. There are other things. Even if you look at the rate of VAT, it may remain at 16%. But it is 16% of an increased cost of what you're buying. In other words, more money is leaving your pocket. So that, I think, is the main issue on this matter. How do we deal with it? My thinking is there are three centers, and one of them relates to what you have asked, devolution, where the cost centers, where the government is not able to undertake a lot of development projects, is not able to release money to pay pending bills. One is government wastage, before we deal with corruption. And this is historical. It is not just in Ruto's administration. There's a lot of government wastage. Wastage in the form of inflated costs of goods and services that the government procures. There's been this proposal to have end-to-end e-procurement system. It is still lagging out there. But when goods are overpriced, and when goods are not supplied on time, and when contracts are not administered properly, the administration of government contracts, there are delays, you compound the government liabilities, whether they are pending bills or interest rates on the funds that have been borrowed to undertake those projects. So there is a lot of wastage, and basically on overpricing as well as mismanagement of government contracts. Then there's the element of corruption, where there's a lot of rent seeking. I mean, this is something you cannot deny if you live in this country. And you've seen it over and over again, even reports from those who try to do business in this country. The cost of corruption eventually translates into the cost of goods for the common mwananchi. And the final one is the way we deal with our debt, whether it is domestic or external debt, or pending bills, or contingent liabilities in terms of guarantees that the government has issued. If you look at all those, there's a lot of lack of transparency. We first created a debt register around 1996 when I was a young lawyer at the Office of the Attorney General, because we would be required to give a legal opinion on external loans, confirming that we have not exceeded our debt limit. And we could never find a register as lawyers at the Office of the Attorney General. So now there's a debt register. But nobody, and I firmly believe that we are paying debts that don't exist, or we are paying debts in amounts that are not due. nobody has ever given us a clear picture of our debt portfolio and the debt structure and how it stands. So I believe a lot of resources is wasted on our debt side, the way we deal with our debt, but also on our pending bills. If you come to devolution, the problem with devolution is there's no capacity. Most of these devolved units don't have the capacity for public financial management. Okay, Treasury has seconded people, has helped them set their county treasuries. But if you look at the people in charge and the political leaders, those in office, there is just no capacity.
Right.
And what is happening in counties is when the money is released and they receive the money, there's a lot of activity at the county headquarters when the money is still in their treasury, and it is quickly paid out on a priority. It is such a mess. My proposal has been we need to adopt, and most people probably don't understand this, we need to adopt the model we use for CDF projects, for county funds. I said this in Parliament a few days ago. The reason, the members of Parliament here will tell you, the CDF, constituencies allocated a certain amount of money.
Right.
And then a percentage is given for administration. The rest goes to the projects. We don't have pending bills in CDF projects. We don't.
Yeah.
There are no pending bills. And most of the costs are actually determined by Ministry of Public Works. So you will find the cost of a classroom in Makalimulu's constituency and mine, if there's a difference, it is to do with geography, terrain, transportation, something like that.
Yeah.
If we could manage county funds like that, we make sure the budgeting is done by constituencies within the counties and specific to projects. And then those resources are utilized specific to those projects. We will not have this problem of pending bills.
Okay. All right. Allow me to take a short break. When I come back, we'll continue the conversation, especially on appreciating some of those, because it appears like we are in agreement that corruption and government wastage is the big issue here. How do you resolve it? Because, yes, everyone contributes to the government, but it is those in government that manage the resources, but their actions, the effects of it, affect everyone down the stream. We'll have that conversation shortly. What is your view about the state of the economy as it is now? You can tweet us at Citizen TV Kenya, at Sam Gituku. The hashtag to use is Citizen Daybreak. You're back in a moment.